conducted by Dr. Charles Johnson, Department of History, University of Tennessee, Knoxville, on December 8th, 1987. Interview in Mr. Lewis's home. Well, usually when I start, I like to find out some more about sort of when you got in the service and where you were from originally, and a little more about you before I start. Were you from this area originally?
No, I lived in St. Louis. I was born in Wyoming.
Oh, you're a Westerner, huh?
Yeah, my dad was a railroad man in the construction department. We traveled all over the country. I lived in a 3-room boxcar until I got school age. And when they moved from one place, they took it on the train and we'd go right along.
What railroad did you work for?
CB&Q, Chicago, Burlington, Quincy. It's now Burlington Northern.
Did you enlist? Were you drafted?
Well, I was working for Emerson Electric, and I was doing tool and die work and machine setup, and I had a deferment. But I got tired of walking down the street and have people walk up to me and say, "Why aren't you in the service? You don't look like there's anything wrong with you." So I gave up. My buddy enlisted, and I had no more buddies left around. So I gave up the deferment and enlisted.
What year was that?
42, fall of 42. And due to my background, they swore me in and then put me on orders to go back and train people for my job until they needed me. Then I got called up. Well, in the meantime, after I gave my deferment up, I got the greetings from the president, you know.
Your draft board found you.
Yeah, so I went down and showed it to them, and they laughed, and they says, "Go ahead and take the physical. They can't get you anyway. It'd be interesting." So they called a bunch of us up. We went over to a doctor's office, the whole room of it. He says, "Come on in, boys, line up around the room." We did. He stands there and turned around 2 or 3 times, look, he says, "You all passed, go down to the city hospital and get blood tests." One guy says, "Hey, Doc, wait a minute, I can't pass." He says, "What do you mean you can't pass?" He says, "I got braces on my legs." Doc says, "Well, everybody dropped their pants." He had braces on both legs, and 2 other guys had a brace on one leg. He was going to collect his $5 or $10 a throw.
For everybody.
So, I mean, that's all I went up, because I was already in, but I went ahead and took it. And then I got called up in January. I went to
43.
Yeah. Went to Jefferson Barracks, which is called Pneumonia Gulch. Lived in those little Quonset huts. No, they weren't Quonset huts. Little square 8-man huts until about 2 weeks, maybe 3 weeks. And then I went to Cedar Rapids, Iowa, on CTD, College Training Detachment. And we graduated there, we were there about 3 months.
Had you gone through the usual basic training by then, or did they run you through the usual basic?
No. Well, they did. While we were at JB, those 2 or 3 weeks there, it was a kind of a halfway basic training. Of course, headquarters was here, and I was next door to it. Every time they need the detail, they come next door with all the detail. Some of them were pretty nasty. So what we did, we took turns standing out behind there and find out what details was coming up. And if they were good ones, well, we'd stay there and get them. If they were bad ones, we all disappeared. You know, that's normal.
Learning the soldier.
That's right, learning the soldier. But we got, that was our basic. It wasn't too much. We were all potential pilots, bombardiers, and navigators. unless you were washed out. And if you washed out, then you went to basic then.
I see.
So we went from there to Santa Ana. Went through training there. We took 6-4 physical, and had it rough. I took that thing, I had 104 fever. The second station was where you take the temperature. And I knew if I went through that and they found I had 104 fever, they'd flunk me out. After giving up my deferment, I didn't want to be a gravel agitator. So I bypassed that statement, went around and passed all the rest of the physical, and then took that last. And I said, you got 104 fever. I said, yeah, but I passed everything. He said, well, if you can pass everything with 104 fevers, I might as well stop you here.
Good thinking.
And they told us, of course, that you will sleep on your bed instead of in it because you don't have time to make it up in the morning. That was true. That was true. Of course, you wonder why they did this. But the idea, well, I found out when I got shot out that when emergency comes, you don't stop and think. You just automatically do it. You know what to do. If I stopped and think at 250 feet, I wouldn't be here today. So that was the idea behind that. You slept on your, unrolled your comforter, roll that up over you, roll that up and pulled your bed tight and tucked it in. So when the old man come around for inspection, which we had daily, he put on a pair of white gloves, he stuck them down inside that coil spring. He was out, he was bucking for captain. He made it. With our sweat and blood.
That's the way it happens sometimes.
Yeah, and then we went from there.
Were you at pilot training there?
So this was, Santa Ana was all cadet training.
Oh.
You didn't start specializing. You went from there into your various specialties, whatever you're picked for. And I went from there to Tulare, California. As tech ranking there in Knoxville Academy, the old barn farmer.
Mm-hmm.
And that was for basic. That was primary. We flew Stearman's there. And then I went from there to Lemoore, which was just 30 miles away for basic, which is BT-13s, BT-15. And from there we went to Luke Field in Phoenix, Arizona. New AT-6s and P-40s.
Was the training that you got pretty good all along the line? Good people doing the training, pretty demanding?
Yeah. My pilot, my instructor at primary was one of Tex Rankin's old barn farming buddies. Ray Howard was his name, shorter than I was. Near the end of our training, why, he took me up in the mountains. Get up in the mountains, he cut her off and says forced landing. Well, of course, I did all the things, and there was a cow path going up the side of it. Did everything you're supposed to, and I figured, well, he'll take it over in a minute. So I landed, I went ahead and landed. See, I didn't stand up. He said, well, that's pretty good. He said, but I would have landed on the cow path. He said, get out. Got out, and he pulled his fishing boats out. We went trout fishing. We caught some dandies, and he got me off the base that night and over to his house. Big little trout dinner, rainbow trout. And of course, we had pretty good, because they were experienced pilots. Lemoore. Good instructors there in that little field. Anyway, see, the Chinese were training in P-40s at Luke Field.
Chinese?
And talk about a mechanical pilot, they were. And I had flown one day, I flew 4 hours in the morning and then took a day cross country, which run into the evening, and landed. And they says, you want to get your night landings in? I said, yeah, might as well. So I flew out to the field there and shot 4 hours of night landings and leaned up against the shed there to catch a little shut-eye. Your Chinese, he took off. I happened to be away, I hadn't gone to sleep yet. Took off, he got about 300 or 400 feet in the air and just went on and landed straight on, come on, taxi back with a barbed wire flying like that, you know, around it. He got out and he said, me screw you up.
Me screw you up.
Well, that ain't the exact word.
I got you.
That was a little excitement. Another one, wasn't 15 minutes later, took off and he got his head out of the cockpit, saw the fire flying outside of P-40 and phased about. 2 airplanes washed out in one night. It's crazy what they do. Of course, they had the cadets and they had their officers. One guy would fly the area and try to slip out, and the others would call and try to keep him slipping out. That was their way of doing it. If you happen to be and they got a call, the guy trying to, you happen to be in their way, you better get out of the way, they'd run right through you. They were crazy. Then went from there to from there we got a little furlough. Got to come home for a couple of weeks. And then went back to Salinas, California, staging there in Salinas, Fort Lauderdale, P-39s, P-63s, King Cobra, the Air Cobra and the King Cobra. That P-63 was a sweet airplane. Now there we had most of the instructors were old Flying Tigers out of China.
Come back from China.
Yeah. I had one that believed you needed oxygen at 50 feet. There's not a bridge or a fence or a telephone line up there that you could get an airplane under. I haven't flown under it. He'd get 7 men sacked back like that, and he'd turn right into you. And I've been a 7th man when he turned into it. Man, you got he's hard to get around that. Then we had another one that liked to drag his crop through the snow in Mount Hood and Mount Rainier, which is top's not there anymore. So we got some awful good experience up there. Went from there, then we got a 7-day delay en route. 3 of us tried to make it to St. Louis and back in 7 days. We got to Wyoming before we blew out all of our tires. Then we made it back to Santa Rosa with P-38s. Was the
How was that plane to fly, P-38?
oh, you really appreciate that second engine when you've got 1,000 or so miles from home and what I could do. See, the Navy was there too, and the Navy boys that was there, most of those were guys that had been overseas and were sent back for retraining. And accidentally, on purpose, somebody would make a pass at somebody else, and we'd end up dogfighting. Of course, we got fined for it. Spent the money on a big party. Some ensign turned us in. And, well, you talking about them boys giving him a cold shoulder? They did. But we had a good time. It was good training. Because we escorted, was simulated escort. We was actually escorting some bombers down the California coast in close formation. Here these Corsairs, the Black Sheep Squadron,
They backward train, here they come splitting ass right down through the formation, and the white. They was a crazy bunch.
Well, they had a reputation for that.
Yes, they did. Well, most of them were misfits.
Mhm.
Some of them were washed out cadets. Before we got out, before we got our commissions, the losses were not as great as they anticipated. So they washed a bunch of the cadets out. Would have been, 44 D, E, or in that area there. And then casualties got up, and then a lot of them that washed out was still on the base for reassignment. They brought them back in. But you know, the thing was, most of those guys got killed when they went overseas the first 5 missions.
Really? 'Cause
They should have stayed washed out.
Yeah, that there was a reason for them being washed out.
There's a lot of them that weren't washed out, just got caught in this hitch while it switched over to bombardiers or navigators. They didn't have to take that much extra training. The loss was greater in the bombers than it was in the fighters. Because those Germans could put that 88 in the hip pocket.
They did.
Women were shooting. Did you know that?
That's what I'd heard someplace.
Yeah.
I hadn't had anybody talk to me very much about it.
If they missed you in the first volley, you better change speed, altitude, or direction, or all three. They'd get you next. C-38 was just, they didn't have the speed down right on it. Usually they burst behind you.
You were faster than they thought.
Yeah. But they'd get you on the second go around. If you didn't change speed or directions or altitude.
That's the plane you stayed with then? You were flying P-38s?
Yeah, yeah. That's what I went overseas in.
When did you go over?
Gosh, I'm just trying to remember. September or October.
44.
Yeah. Yeah. We were flying close escort. The B-51 was flying general.
Now, what's the difference between close and general?
Well, we flew right over them. In other words, from 500 to 2,000 feet above the bombers in formation, and the B-51 flew general area to see if anybody was coming in, and if they were, they could warn us. Of course, they were supposed to bomb at anywhere from 20 to 23,000. Of course, at 20 up to 25,000, they could put that 88 in the hip pocket. Of course, their equivalent, 105 or 150, they weren't accurate with. But the B-17 boys had gone up to 30,000. Of course, 24s couldn't get that high.
How well did the P-38 perform at 30,000?
That means we had to be about 32. They were a bit mushy. They were mushy.
Got a little thin up there.
Yeah, yeah. Of course, that's a heavy airplane at that time. That was 19,200 pounds. The next heaviest one was the P-47, 14,000.
It's a lot heavier.
Yeah. Of course not. That's a fleet spec compared to the ones nowadays.
Yeah, but that was then.
Yeah. Now they took our squadron, my squadron, and took the nose off of one of the B-38s and put a plexiglass nose in it, and a bombardier rode in that. And they installed 14 rack rockets on each of the 38s. So we carried 14 rack rockets, 6 500-pound bombs, machine guns, and a 20-millimeter cannon on short hauls. We was loaded.
I was going to say, they really made a powerful plane out of it.
Yeah. Of course, that was anything. that load, I don't remember, 4.5 hours mission. Our missions were pretty long. We hit Berlin from Germany on Christmas, brought them a Christmas present. That was a 12-hour mission.
Mhm. That's a long, long time to be in there. You must have had,
We had 300 gallon belly tanks.
belly tanks.
Yeah, we carried bombs.
Couldn't.
No. See, we carried either 150s or 300s on the long hauls. Why? We carried 300s. Which wasn't most of it. We could go 7, 8 hours on 2 150s.
If you got into trouble, you had to dump them.
Yeah.
And you, then in the fall and winter of 44, did you have a fair amount of opposition from German aircraft, or was the primary problem flak?
Flak. Oh, one of the guys, we were on one mission, and he was on the way back. We ducked down out of the clouds, and there was a airfield, and the guys flying the trainer planes, trying to train some pilots. And one guy shot down 5 of them, become an ace. He didn't broadcast that too much.
5 planes? 5 planes?
5 planes made you an ace.
Mhm.
Yeah, he shot out all 5 of them.
So you started flying missions in September of 44, and how long were you in the air then?
I averaged 6 hours and 45 minutes mission. We come back from one mission. Of course, the Germans would try to, by radio, would try to get you on the change directions, come over there gun emplacements. But we come back one mission, drop down out of the clouds, and I was flying the old man's wing. There was a sheep herder down there with a bunch of sheep. Hips, and takes a shot at us. So I told the old man about it. He says, give me a reading on your gas. Give him a reading on how much I had. He says, I'll see you in about 45 minutes. So I peeled up, come barrel down there. Mamma mia, bambino. And he stole that rifle, started out, and him and his sheep. And I just started shooting. I didn't want to kill either his sheep or him, and started shooting. And Sean bailed up, and he'd get up out of the mud, take off again. And I run him and the sheep all over the countryside. and quit whenever I run, getting low on gas. First time, I took quite a ribbing when they showed those films.
Your gun camera was on.
But I had a ball.
Were you flying out, I'm not clear, were you flying out of England over? Or
No,
were you flying
out of Italy.
Out of Italy, okay, yeah.
It was flying out of Italy, Foggia, Maine.
Coach it. Okay. And so you were coming in from the south.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, when you said Mamma Mia
Yeah.
with the sheep herder, then I figured out that you weren't flying across France.
Coming back one mission, I broke out of the clouds, out over this beautiful valley there. Boy, this is pretty. And then all hell broke loose. I broke out over Burgess Garden.
Oh, lots of
Man, you
people
ought to
there.
seen me. He must have been there. You ought to seen me get out of there.
Punched it, eh?
Yeah, and then another funny thing. Of course, you only try to remember the funny things. We was coming back from a mission, and we were on B channel, and the P-51, the colored boys, were on A channel. They flew P-51s out of Italy. And I listened to them. One guy says, hey, Sam, says, you see that dinghy down there? We was flying over the Adriatic coming back. Yeah. He says, let's go down and take a look. Everything's quiet for a minute, and then they come up and says, hey, Sam, He says, that looked like Mo down there, didn't it? He said, he sure did. He sure got a long way to paddle. So I went down to see if I could find anything, and all I spotted was the dike, the dye, the colored dye in the water. So I don't know whether he got back or what it was. It's over Yugo, and it was Yugoslavia. And that particular area was Chetnik's area. Mm-hmm. He wasn't overly friendly at that time. So I just never did find out.
What happened to you?
I reported when I got back. Of course, they never told me what happened.
What do you think happened? Why did he go down to begin with? You know, I
Don't have the slightest idea.
just went there.
I know they had a ship over there on the Yugoslavian side at one time. Me and my buddy went down and take a look at it. And all hell broke loose there too. In other words, apparently it was a German ship or something.
Mm-hmm.
See, what they did, what our armor did, he took these 500-pound bombs and wrapped them with steel cable. And that made them a mighty potent weapon.
Mm-hmm.
Man, it's like a lawnmower. You cut that grass. So after we got all those rack rockets, 6 500-pound bombs wrapped with steel cable, we cut every rail line in Yugoslavia in a month's time.
Did you like doing that kind of work rather than fly escort, or which would you prefer?
I like to fly escort in there because I didn't want to know that I'd killed anybody.
Understand.
A lot of guys felt that way. Of course, if I had to, I would have.
What squadron were you in? What was the number of your squadron?
let's see, 82nd Fighter Group, 95th Fighter Squadron.
82nd Fighter Group, 95th.
Yeah, our insignia was similar to the hat and the ring. Only we had a guy in a ring with a top hat on, holding a bolt of lightning. It stood for death with finesse.
Did you take fairly heavy casualties in your squadron, or?
No, not too bad. See, we were up there so high, in most cases we were out of the range of the 88s. We didn't take too heavy casualties. Of course, the B-24s over there, they got hit pretty hard. The first mission I flew on, one fell back and I was flying back. Thinking how pretty it was, and seeing that black flak and white flak bursting all over the place, then all of a sudden that B-24 just exploded. Not a parachute, go direct hit in the bomb layer. Wasn't so pretty after that.
I guess real then?
Just little pieces fell off.
Did you know any of the people who were flying the bombers, or did you stay pretty much with your group in the squadron?
No, I didn't know too many of them. There again, we didn't have too much time in the town. I told you there was a very small town. We didn't get into town very often. I suppose they had their parties on their base, and we had our parties on our base.
Did you fly every other day usually, or every day, or every third day?
That varied. Sometimes we wouldn't go up for a week. Sometimes we'd fly 2 or 3 days in a row. A lot, of course, in the wintertime, a lot depending on the weather. I know one thing, if you were scheduled for a flight one day and the weather stood you down, you couldn't make it, and you made the same flight, the next day you got the devil shot out of you. They knew where you were coming. So all those boats out in the Adriatic, they all carried shortwave radios.
so they could get your direction and they could figure from that where you were going.
Yep. So when we didn't fly a mission, we used to do a little training flight. One day we was up, there was 338s, and we jumped the B-51 boys in a traffic pattern. Of course, B-51 being a single engine plane, and you just don't, if you got anything between your ears, you don't turn them up to the right on the deck. But maybe they didn't have too much between their, I don't know, anyway, we've got a big dog fight going to the right and the left, and it didn't make any difference to them. We couldn't get inside them, and they couldn't get inside us. Here come a Spitfire done 360s right inside us, made you feel like a fool. So we went up and started diving on the sailboats out in the Adriatic. Of course, they'd get up on the side and jump over in. You could just almost hear them saying, "Mamma mia, mia bambino." Of course, we pull out the prop washer, turn them over. Every time one of them turned over, a shortwave radio went to the bottom of the Adriatic.
So you got rid of it without doing anybody any real damage.
Yeah, that's right.
It's a right civilized way to run a war.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
It's too bad it can't all be like that.
Yeah. Well, if they'd sat down and talked about it, it'd be a lot less.
I think you're right. When that doesn't, then there are other people who have to go out and,
Of course, that's one way of keeping the world from becoming overpopulated, you know.
there's gotta be better ways than that.
Well, I agree with you. That's the way to do it.
Was it an 88 that got you down?
No, it was, if you remember that they had the 262, the jet.
Right.
They had a rocket plane.
I have seen
Stayed
pictures
up,
of it.
I think maximum time was about 14 minutes or something like that. I was escorting Photo Freddy over Munich, and I had at 25,000. I had just completed a fluring turn looking around.
Was this in early 45?
Yeah. I just leveled off and all hell broke loose. It was within one of those that rocket plane was way up there. You got right engine was shot in two. The left engine was whirlwinding. The right tail boom was shot in two. Left tail boom was just hanging. The right wingtip gas tank was on fire. And 3 hits behind the cockpit. Shrapnel all around it.
Really did a number on that plane, didn't they?
Yeah.
What sort of armament did that plane have? You know, a 20 millimeter? Or
I don't remember what it had,
Something
if
did-
I ever knew.
something did real damage. So.
Yeah. Anyway, I headed, at that time, the Germans were shooting pilots in chutes. And at Munich, I wasn't too far from Switzerland either, so I figured, well, I'm going to try to make it to Switzerland. But I didn't have any power at all.
It's funny the plane held together with that.
Well, I just stood with both feet on one rudder to keep it level. And I got down to, last time I looked, it was 500 feet, and I adjusted the canopy and hooked one heel in the seat, and it turned loose, about 250, turned loose, and just pushed with my feet. 38's hard to get out of them, because between 180 and 220, you went out the back, the tail boom would get you. And you couldn't go off the front because the props had chopped you out. The best of them. So it's pretty hard to get out beyond the tail boom. The best way to do was to turn it over, drop out.
But you couldn't have done that.
I couldn't do that, so I showed with my foot, and out I went, pulled the ripcord, and the turnbuckle with it, fit me. My chute was fit me. Flew up and busted my chin wide open, and there was high transmission wire, so I just pulled the the sidelines and missed that and land snowbank. Horseshoe Canyon, the town, the mouth of it.
You weren't gonna get out of there, were you?
Didn't have a chance. Of course, the farm boy come out there. I asked him for his knife. Of course, mine flew out of my boots. And I cut the tride line, cut the parachute off pieces so I couldn't use it. And went into the house, and the town mayor come up. He had lived in Chicago, so he spoke excellent English. And he asked me if I'd like to stay there. Of course, with a few minutes, 3 soldiers come up, a sergeant, a corporal, and a private with a big crease down across the skull. And say, yeah, I'd not mind staying there. I just figured if I could stay there in just a few days, I'll be in Switzerland. It's only about 50 kilometers away. Sergeant was all right with him. Was all right with the family. They had a boy, and the boy was about 14. I guess the girl was maybe 18, 19. A long drink of water. But sergeant was okay. The corporal was okay, but the private, who wouldn't go along with it. Of course, they didn't trust each other. They didn't know who's going to blow the whistle on them. So they got prisoner.
That's too bad. That's the way those chances work, I guess.
Yeah.
Did you have any other injury other than your chin?
I had to walk through that. Of course, they had snowshoes on. I had to walk in boots and everything like that. I got infected heels. Of course, I was sore as a boil from all them straps jerking. If I had any more, I don't remember them. I think I had a few cuts and bruises, things like that. Fast, as hard as I hit, I'm sure glad it was snow.
Yeah. Did they, where did they take you then?
Oh, I don't remember. I got it down somewhere. It was a little town. They had a little jail there. Went there to spend the night. Next morning, they pulled me out at sunrise, and they were shooting me at sunrise. But took me in and put me on a train. Of course, I got something to eat at the farmhouse. They gave me something at the farmhouse. On a train, and we went there, and the tracks were shot out. 3.5 days later, tracks were shot out, and the German guard, and he looked in there, and they had beer. The only thing I had to eat or drink is when we changed trains, I'd grab a handful of snow, which wasn't good for me. So I said, yeah, I just went in there, got a liter of beer, and boy, I just dry, and I really poured that thing down, and he got plate lunch for us. Dehydrated kraut, dehydrated potatoes. Potatoes ain't too bad. Dehydrated kraut's about the most tasteless thing you. And a great big old knockwurst or wiener. And I ate that, and he got another liter of beer, but that time I was seeing Germans walking up the wall, across the ceiling. You know, I had nothing to eat, drink for 3.5 days. Man, I tell you, you talk about somebody loaded, I was on a liter of beer, and I was St. Louis, no beer drinker. And then we went on.
Were a lot of other prisoners on the train too, or were you?
No, I was
you were the only one.
Only one. And we went to, let's see. Another place, stayed there a couple of days, and then went to the Frankfurt on the Oder, not on the Rhine. That was the prison camp. It was a staging room where they sent them out. And from there, I went to Nuremberg.
You were a lieutenant then? Lieutenant?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Went to Nuremberg. Of course, that was Ormont prison camp.
And that was entirely for officers, or was
No,
it
no.
mixed?
The compound next to us was like Moosburg was Russians. You can say what you want to, but them German soldiers were scared of them Russians, even though they were prisoners. They weren't.
Did they treat you differently from the way they treated the Russians?
We didn't have to go out and work. We could if we wanted to. We're supposed to get an extra ration of grass soup or whatever it was. If you went out and worked, I went out and gathered wood one day and then get my extra, so I said, the hell with it. So I stayed in there and made me a can opener, found an old file, but I couldn't wear it down on a stone or a brick. So I did make myself a little GI can opener, a little stove.
What was the food like at Nuremberg?
It finally got down to before we left there to 27 of a slice of bread a day. And a cup of that, whatever you want to call it, I had an expression, it just keep you alive. And then about twice a week we'd get a couple little 3 squares of cheese. I started saving them back, hoping to escape. Somebody stole them on me, so I just ate it after that. And we got a cup of hot water a day.
You had some theft of food from, people did steal food from each other?
Yeah, yeah. Sure they would. You're starving, I guess you would. Then once a week, I'd take my cup of hot water and I'd take a bath and try to shave. You could do it. It's hard, but you cut a corner off of that towel they give you, and then you squeeze every drop back in there. About all that, it made you feel better. I guess you got some of the odor off. What we did, the 4 of us, we pulled our mattresses off the bunks, put them on the floor, and there was 2 short guys and 2 long guys. And every other night, well, us 2 short guys would sleep in the middle, and we'd alternate. So every other night we slept warm. So.
You were in a barracks, a long barracks?
Yeah,
or
yeah.
1 story, 2 story?
One.
One.
1 story. No heat. There's no cat used to run across that compound. The only reason I didn't use the cat, I couldn't catch it. And I found out that there's a guy in the POW club here that got part of that cat. Says pretty good, so he crawled on the barracks and battered the bones so the Germans wouldn't find it.
Get hungry.
Yeah. And then right before they left there, they just don't remember whether we got a half one or a full one. Anyway, they brought a Red Cross parcel in. And what we did, we called him Wooten Bar because the guy that suggested it was named Wooten. We took everything we could and made it, mixed it together, made it up in bars like a powerhouse, like a candy bar. And one of them would sustain you a day. And that's what we took with you on that march. Now, of course, some of them started wolfing it down right away, and you know what happened to them. They had the dysentery bad. But I fact is I got down to Moosburg with a couple left.
When did you leave Nuremberg, do you remember?
April 5th.
April 5th. And how far was it from Nuremberg to Moosburg?
Seemed like 1,000 miles, but
I'm sure.
I really don't know. I've got a map of it down Germany downstairs. It shows she knows where she put it away at. It shows where all the location of prison camps were. A lot of the guys, they started bringing them in 2 or 3 days before we left from other camps, bringing them in on boxcars, some of them walking in. Of course, it turned out to be a blessing in disguise, because the spring of the year, and they was planting their potatoes, and after a couple of days when the dogs wasn't so vicious to become buddies, why, as fast as they planted, we'd dig them up, eat them the potatoes. So it turned out to be a blessing in disguise.
roughly how many people were in your camp when, I don't know anything about the size of camps. A few hundred or?
Yeah, let's see, they were in a compound. The camp, I don't know, because I don't know how many compounds. Our compound, there was 4 barracks. And probably 25, 30 in the barracks. Because there was a whole lot of compounds. There seemed to be a lot more Russians in the next compound than there were us. Then again, you'd expect that.
So there were Russians and then there were Americans, or Americans and a lot of other people together?
A lot of, we had a few English, one New Zealander, and one guy from South America in our area. But they kept them pretty much segregated. In other words, the Russians were in compounds of their own. And there was a lot of compounds. Nuremberg was a big camp. There were several thousand there.
And then they moved you from there, you had to walk down to Mooseburg.
Yeah.
How long did it take to get from one place to the other? Remember, a few days or a week or?
2 weeks.
2 weeks. That's a long ways to go when you're weakened by not having enough to eat anyway.
Yeah. Of course, right before see, the six of us traveled together, and we'd hit a, where we was gonna spend the night. Two of us would try to scrounge food, and two of us would find a place to sleep or sleep down, and two of us would go to the farmhouse, bag food or what we could, did whatever we could, or gather wood or something like that. Right before we went in, got to Mooseburg a day or two, two of us took off over the fence, out across country. We got out there, 3 or 4 kilometers out there, and found a potato hill. So I told my buddy, I said, you go up to the farmhouse up there and ask if we can have some potatoes. And don't worry about it. If they say no, I'll already have it some. But I took my GI underwear off, filled that full, you know. And he said, yeah, they said, I said, well, get a couple of 3 and wave thank you. And we took off, had it pulled up tight on my neck, and wouldn't go very far, and I'd be hitting me in the fanny. Pulled it up. Again, when we got back to camp, somebody had a measure, them legs was 9 foot long. So we ate what we wanted. They'd give us potatoes at the camp. We ate what we wanted and carried the rest of them into Mooseburg with us. Later on that night, a couple of German guards, individually, not two together, wanted to get us some clothes to escape, was the idea. We put in a good word for them. But dear Patton, we didn't know Patton at that time, getting closer and closer all the time. So we figured, well, if we take off with them and we run into the SS, we're dead. We're dead, so we just turned it down. Got on into Mooseburg. Food was a little better there, but not much.
Did you lose some people on the march?
They lost one guy. They caught him stealing, and they hung him. That's murder. You're on starvation ration.
Yeah.
If I was near the end of the line, and was further up the line, the word come back that they hung him. He caught a guy stealing off his buddies, and he hung him. Didn't ask no question.
Who did the hanging?
Americans.
The Americans. Okay.
Don't know who they were. If I did, I wouldn't tell you.
That's a long time ago in a different world.
Yeah.
Imagine it's kind of hard to believe those sorts of things happen, but they did.
Yeah. When that little cheese I had hid back, I found out it was stolen. I was just about mad enough to do somebody in.
Did you get very many Red Cross parcels? Or,
Well, we got I think twice we got about a fourth of one. And then we got right before we started on a march, we either got a half one or a whole one. I just don't recall now. And then we got on that march, and we got quite a ways down. I don't remember the name of town anymore. But the German guards wouldn't go any further unless they got a Red Cross parcel. So we stayed there a couple of days, and they brought parcels in. Now, I was fortunate I didn't get one, but some of them were French ones. And French ones was 95% sweets. And you know what happened when those started loading up on the sweets? Yeah, just
right on through.
all over it, right on over. I think there, I believe it was half of one apiece, I'm not sure. Never got any of those first, which was there. Less than 3 weeks. Actually, it was a little longer than that, because Patton come in and liberated us on the 29th, and we left there the 8th. Yeah, but it snowed the 5th.
How did you get the camera?
Well, now that Red Cross parcel, before we left Nuremberg, I swapped cigarettes to German guard for a box camera with 2 rolls of film, because I keep pretty well hid. didn't take very many, I made one or two on the way down there. But most of them to camp down there. Took one or two in Nuremberg before we left. Most of them took there and after we got liberated. They keep pretty well hid, you know, wasn't supposed to have it. Then I got on the way back out, I got over two brand new Leicas. And we got to Camp Lucky Strike, and I had the two Leicas in the box camera. Somebody stole the Leicas. At that time, they were worth $500 apiece.
That's too bad. You had a fair number of experiences with steel.
Yeah, at that time, I guess the Leica was probably the world's best camera. It's not anymore.
But the Germans made good cameras.
Yeah.
By this time, did your folks or the people at home know that you were a prisoner or you were missing, or do you remember?
They did, but I didn't know it. I didn't know it till I got home.
When were you first aware that the American Army was close enough by so you were going to get liberated?
Probably, we knew they were close by before we got into Mooseburg. Of course, every day you could hear them closer and closer and closer. We knew pretty well in a week, but there again we began to worry because Hitler gave orders to gas all prisoners.
Now, that was one of the things I wanted to ask. Did you have real concerns that
Yes,
you might
I
not
did.
make it?
I did. But the German guards, they thought better of us. They could see the handwriting on the wall. And they didn't want no part of it because they become war criminals.
Yeah. They'd probably get treated a fair amount of summary justice. It probably
Yeah.
would have been real quick.
Yeah, I don't imagine Pat Bunch was taking too many prisoners. He was a hard man.
That's
But
his reputation.
But let's put it this way, he shortened that war by considerable length of time by the type of man he was. Of course, they kept him with men's supply, he just shortened it 3 or 4 months sooner than that.
Let's go through the pictures. This first one.
You got them numbered, or you want to go
Yeah,
by?
I've got them numbered here. That one starts with number 5. I use that number because the ones in the library there's some small shots on the first 4 sheets.
Okay. You want to start with this one?
Yeah, let's start with it looks like 2 shots of the same down bridge.
It is different angles.
Yeah. Where was that?
This is at Mooseburg. It's a bridge across the river.
Was that after you were liberated? Took that, you think, or before? Or?
No, they blew that.
Uh-huh. Boy, they really
Just
did.
about just a day or two before, because the Corps of Engineers come in and put that pontoon bridge in before Patton got there.
Was it Air Force that knocked this down? Or artillery, or?
No, they planted bombs on it.
Oh, the Germans blew it.
Germans blew it.
I see. Yeah, it really went down, didn't it?
Yeah. Well placed, weren't they?
Yeah. Well, Germans are good at their business.
I don't believe this was a very deep river, but it was a swift one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it looks like it from the banks. It doesn't look like it doesn't go down too deep. Plenty deep to grow into. The third shot with the prisoners next to the building. Is that Mooseburg too?
That is Mooseburg. They're cooking. There wasn't that much litter and stuff in Nuremberg. Of course, a lot of this litter was brought, some of this stuff was brought in by the guys on the march.
Mm-hmm. in Nuremberg, they just kept it neater than that, or you would have used up all the spare stuff?
Everything is burned. They would have been burned.
Uh-huh. Looks like they're cooking a meal here.
Yeah. Whatever had a little I had to cook or warm it up.
Mm-hmm. This was before you were liberated too, I take it?
Yeah.
All sorts of odd lots of clothing there, varying kinds of uniforms.
Yeah. Couple of flight jackets.
Mm-hmm.
One guy looked like the British Eisenhower jacket over there next to the building.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I see that. Did you get to know a fair number of people pretty well in the prison camp, or just a
Not
few?
too, not too many. It was most guys didn't want to talk about it. All a few of us get together every once in a while and talk about home and what they're going to do when they get home,
Mm-hmm.
stuff like that.
And maybe talk about food too.
See, the strange thing about it, this is barracks. I was near the end of it. I got a barracks. But some of the guys in the club down here was in that tent area.
Mm-hmm.
Apparently they can't fill the tent area up first. Come on back. I was fortunate that I got a barracks.
It was still pretty cold.
Yeah.
These films came out a little out of order, I think. This next one with the boat is the channel.
Yeah, that's the English channel.
It actually felt a lot different when you took that one.
Yeah.
Now the 6 guys you said were, you're in the middle there.
Yeah.
And the others are all Americans, all prisoners?
All Americans, all prisoners. Going to there's 4 officers and 2 enlisted men.
Mm-hmm.
Trying to remember which one was Nance. The guy was named Nance, Taylor, and Hardy, and names escape you.
But the
There's
sixth-
only 2 or 3 of us corresponded for a while. Joe Hardy and I still do. Some never did write.
just wanted to forget about it apparently.
Yeah, yeah.
The 6 of you then, though, were pretty good friends?
Hmm?
The 6 of you were pretty good friends then?
Yeah. We became darn good friends on that march. Oh, we talked, you know, buddy buddies.
The guy in the front row on the left, you said that he had been pretty badly beaten up, pretty badly shot up, or,
Yeah.
but you all made it.
We all made it. We all made it.
Okay, the next one, it looks like there's, let's see, that's number 10.
That's food.
That's food there. Soup, or what passed for soup?
You want to call it soup. We call it not soup. You found a bug in it, you shouted for joy. That was meat.
Mm-hmm. And this is at Mooseburg too? This is at Mooseburg too?
Yeah.
Anybody you recognize there?
No. I see one guy's mighty lucky. He's got an overcoat.
Mm-hmm. Looks like it's cold.
It was. I'm pretty sure this is Mooseburg, but I'm not sure because of the shutters on the window.
Mm-hmm.
And we had shutters on the window at Nuremberg. It's either Mooseburg or Nuremberg, it doesn't really matter.
Pretty bleak looking. Actually, as neat as it is, it looks different from that other shot. It looks like that, it looks more like,
It's a little cleaner.
yeah. Maybe
That's
it's Nuremberg.
probably Nuremberg.
The next one, that's farmer, local
Yeah,
farmer.
that's a farmer with a load of fertilizer.
Looks like being pulled by an ox, by oxen.
Yeah.
There's a plane off there in the edge of
It
that.
looks like a ME-262, which you can't see much of it.
Looks like a wreck.
This, which is houses back there in the background. I think this is out near that airport that they were gonna fly us out. He'd make a good coal man, wouldn't he? Farmer, he got a lot of slack in his hand. No, I don't know, but I surmise that all the horses have been confiscated by the army.
Mm-hmm.
About all they had was oxen.
The next one's the day you got liberated. It must be.
Yeah, that's Patton. I don't know who the civilian is. Cut the light on.
No.
As you said, it may be the mayor.
Well, that's Patton greeting the troops. Of course, we're all pretty glad to see him.
It looks like it. It shows.
There's some smiles on some faces there that I imagine there hadn't been any for months.
Mm-hmm.
This was in the compound I was in. There were mostly Americans in that compound.
Mm-hmm.
The compounds were bigger in Lewisburg than they were in Nuremberg.
Yeah, you knew you were going to make it. Huh?
Yeah. And here we're talking through the fence with some Russians after we were liberated.
Oh, this is afterwards then.
Yeah. I imagine it was.
Yeah, it looked pretty.
Because they
pretty
wouldn't have let us ganged up next to the fence like the guards wouldn't.
Mm-hmm.
But this is not outside, this is inside. You can tell the space between the compounds. This is not an outer edge. Except this over here would be the other side of it would be the outside.
Yeah, it looks like there's an empty area, and then there's a fence, and then a walkway almost in between, and then another fence behind
Yeah,
it
that
there.
walkway would be for the German guards to walk with their police dogs.
Pretty bad dogs, really.
Yeah. Of course, that one on the march, it wasn't bad. The little German guard, he had a softy. You remember the old two-wheel softy, baby softy? He had his pack and a softy, leading the German dog, the police dog. And I'm a big man compared to him. He was a short guy. 3 days later, the dog was riding. He was carrying his pack. The dog had sore feet.
This next one, you got horses and looks like wagons.
Yeah, that's Mooseburg, and I imagine they brought food in. Boy, a lot of litter at Mooseburg. I didn't realize there was that much litter, but there was.
Said those horses might have looked tasty by then.
Yeah. Yeah, they look tasty. They've been excellent compared to what we had had.
Mm-hmm.
This is another
one of
another
Patton.
shot of Patton.
It's a real crowd of people there.
Yeah.
What did he say to you? Do you remember?
I don't recall. About half of it was profanity.
More than likely. Do you remember the first American you saw in the army that was liberating you?
No.
No. I just wondered if it was a tank that came in or foot soldiers.
They broke the gate down the tank. But you haven't come around now. This
This next
looks
one?
like an airplane.
Yeah, an airplane that's down.
Yeah,
Looks like it's right in the edge of the woods.
yeah.
Can't tell what kind. It looks, is it a transport almost?
Well, it looks like it's probably broke in the middle.
Okay,
No, it's just wrecked.
yeah. Mhm.
I must have had to hide the camera pretty fast.
Yeah, it looks like
that
it.
one.
Looks like it.
Yep. I'd say that this here, this, of course, this is Mooseburg.
Badly beaten up.
And
Somebody-
I'd say that is one of the buddy burners that they got from the GI that liberated us.
Somebody did damage to that wall.
Yeah.
Mooseburg, it looked like it was either bombed or shelled or something.
Well,
Pretty-
when the tanks come through, they shot back at them. Of course, they cut loose the machine guns and stuff on the tanks. And boy, the white flag started coming out in a hurry.
Yep.
Camarade.
Camarade. The next picture, that's a guard shack?
Guard shack. Actually, it's not a guard shack, it's because they were, well, yeah, it could be a guard shack, it's not a guard tower.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
And you can see the walkway in between
And
the two fences then?
Yeah. And this mountain back of it over there is probably, one on each side, it's probably like one of these open deals before they, where the guards used to get in, set up. Of course, it could have been for detention of some of the bad boys, but I don't know if it did, if I didn't know anything about it.
You said it snowed that day, the day you took that
This
picture?
is May the 5th, it snowed. And so this would be either May the 5th or 6th.
Mhm. Next one, something took the top
Yeah,
off
that was a house bombed out somewhere in that area.
Okay.
I don't recall whether I took this one before we got to Mooseburg or after.
Mhm.
As long as there were guards around, I had to be real careful how I took it. Now this was here,
That's
That's at Nuremberg.
Stove and heating thing.
shutters on the windows.
Yeah, okay,
Look how much cleaner it is.
right.
Everything is burned, was probably already burned.
Mhm.
I don't know how Van Hill, this table, 2 by 4 hole, I don't know how that
Survived it.
survived. Probably needed it for our homemade stoves on.
And so
We
that's,
didn't have much to cook.
so those stoves were for heat primarily, and those blower systems move the heat
Yeah.
around?
No,
Those were
as I
Russians.
think, that's Russians,
Those were Russians.
but I believe there's no walkway between it. I believe this is Nuremberg.
Okay.
That's pretty clean.
Could you?
Somebody had swapped something there, got a can of something in his hand.
Mhm. Did you personally have a chance to talk to the Russians, or?
Yeah.
How did they seem?
Well, they're all right. There's a lot of, let's put it this way, there's a lot of American boys alive today that wouldn't have been if it hadn't been for the Russians.
That's funny.
Somebody that fell by the wayside, well, they just picked him up and carried him right along.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Yeah. I'd say this is a shelter for the German soldiers in case of bombing.
I see. Yeah, that makes sense. Looks pretty grim. But I suppose keep the bomb, keep the shrapnel away.
Yeah. This is a German guards getting ready to take off at Moosburg.
Yeah, that's number 23 on the list. Yeah, they're deciding to be on their way.
That's right.
Did any of them treat you badly enough so that they would run some risk of getting
Not
executed?
me, and I didn't see him, any of them being treated, but there's one guy in our POW club that, of course, he didn't keep his mouth shut, for one thing. Said he got beat nearly every day. But he's a farm boy from around this part of the country. And he protected life, so to speak. He'd go out on the work details, and he'd sound off. Said they beat him. He got beat unmercifully. He's the guy that got part of the cap.
Oh,
So we got some of these seminars where they show us videotapes and films. It was helping him, but he'd have 3 or 4 miserable days afterward, bring back an awful lot of memories. But I didn't personally know anybody other than him. I didn't see anybody get beat over there. But I suppose, well, evidently they did. Of course, some people can't keep their mouth shut, you know.
yeah.
A lot of them ask for it. Of course, I was an officer, and that made a difference, too. The Germans respected officers.
Even in somebody
It's
else's
a
army.
regimented country, you know, they respect authority. Yeah, they're getting ready, because you can see a couple of their backpacks, 3 or 4 of their backpacks laying around there. I know whenever they lined up and marched off, one of them threw his gun over the fence. I didn't get it, but one of the guys got it. This would have to be, Nuremberg, because I don't remember those barracks at Boothburg having these steps. They weren't up that high.
So this is an earlier shot. That, their guys are lined, looks like they're lined up for something, or maybe not. Maybe they're just in a row.
Goodness only knows what they're lined up for. Sure wasn't no Red Cross girl. Of course, a lot of the lines are common for that reason. That's a limey coming out the door.
Yeah. Got that beret on, tam.
Yeah, and the jacket fitted. This is the tent area in Moosburg.
Looks like not very comfortable. Wet,
No,
cold.
Dave will be interested in the club. He'll be interested to see this, because Dave was in the tent area.
Did you know him then, or did you just?
No. There was a bunch of them on that march, but I didn't know. I didn't know them. Dave's pretty lucky. He got when he bailed out, he got caught on the nose reel. He's pretty lucky to be here.
I was going to say.
He's luckier than I was when I bailed out at 250.
This upside down plane,
262, ME 262.
big engines on it.
Yeah.
Did you have, back when you were flying, before you were shot down, did you get into dogfights with the Germans?
No. I saw some over to the, off in the distance.
They pretty much
They
stayed away
were
from
fighting with close,
You were,
close.
you were the second line of defense, huh?
Yeah,
This was in an airfield near Moosburg somewhere?
yeah.
Oh, there's that truck.
That's something, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Coal-fired boiler, condensation coil, tank.
That's pretty clever.
It wouldn't go very fast, but it'd go.
That's what's important. I wonder what they're carrying in the back. I can't tell.
Looks like junk, don't it?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Bunch piled on top of it.
And up on top, too.
That's a pretty good sized boiler they got on the back of that thing,
Yes,
you
it
know?
is. Yes, it is. Do you remember where that was? Was that around Moosburg? Is this after you think, after you were liberated?
I don't know. I don't recall it being afterwards.
That's a good shot of that truck.
Yeah. I imagine it was on the way to Moosburg. Probably wasn't very far out of Moosburg, but I had a shot or two that I guess they took of their little three-wheel automobile. There wasn't none of them in it.
Well, there you are. And
Yep. Couple.
You're on the right there.
Yeah, and this guy with a cap, Joe Taylor, in Texas. The other guy was the guy in Bacon. But I think he was from Texas too, but I'm not sure. Never did hear from him. Heard from Joe a time or two. Joe went to the real estate business, but I don't know, never did hear from the other guy.
Well, these are those
Yeah, you get a 10 cans of lure, you know that's gotta be Gooseberry. We never had no cans enough. We probably got these from the guys that liberated us.
Mm-hmm.
Or somebody did, I don't even know whether we had any or not.
And this one and the next one show that blower that you use to move the heat around.
Yeah,
You turn that crank.
yeah.
Were you involved in the making of any of those, or?
Yeah, I had back being an old sheet metal
I was
man.
going to say, you had plenty of training for. You never figured you were going to do something like that.
I
So
didn't
these are,
remember them looking that good. Yeah, we did do a pretty good job on
you
them.
did indeed, with the tools and the materials you had, you did a good job. And as you say, some German apparently left without his bicycle.
Yeah, he took off. Now, this guard tower was right outside the fence from the barracks I was in at Lewisburg.
Did they stand up on the top, or they just looked out through the windows, or?
Usually looked out through the windows.
Was that a water barrel on that?
Looks like it. I suspect that was. Hand drawn.
You keep getting the impression that this,
That looks like it's in a tent area.
yeah, it does. At least there's a tent that's staked down there.
Anyway, all those guard towers are the same.
Have you ever had any desire to go back to that area again?
Nope.
No. Once was enough, eh?
Yeah, I didn't leave anything over there. Stuka dive bomber that came into that little airport and surrendered.
You said that somebody took a shot at it.
Two men ran it. One was hid down the back cockpit, and a line of bullets went between the pilot and him. But he lucky to be alive. I mean, just a perfect line of cutting down that 50 caliber. You know. No, they shot the hell out of him. He's carrying bombs.
That's right, isn't it?
Yep, carrying 500 pounder.
Mm-hmm.
I never noticed that before, but he sure as devil was.
That's right, right up there.
Anyway, he came in and gave up instead of dropping that on us.
I guess if I'd been him, I'd have gone someplace else and dropped it, and then come in empty.
Yeah. No doubt he had one on the other wing, too.
Mm-hmm.
The Liberty ships. I mean, not the Liberty, but the convoy, and the
Convoy.
English Channel.
Mm-hmm. Must have been a nice
England
sight.
in the background.
Oh, boy.
I have too much love for the English.
No?
They'll sell their soul for a cigarette.
A lot of Americans had cigarettes?
Yeah, some of them did. I swapped a cigarette now and then with them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, these are some of the guys that liberated us.
Third Army, Pat.
Mm-hmm. Their faces are too full to be a prisoner. Too well fed.
Okay, I hear you.
We wouldn't have had any ammo belts.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see what this vehicle behind this one guy.
I was trying to figure that out. I just don't know.
I wasn't too much interested in the vehicle then.
No.
I'd say it's American, whatever it is.
Looks like it.
Yeah, these guys come in and liberate us, and a lot of their buddies was in the camp with prisoners.
Oh. Mm-hmm.
And I'll never forget, they brewed up, got their little stoves out, you know, and brewed up coffee. I didn't get any of it, and I hung around. It looks pitiful, but oh, that smells so good. Brewed coffee.
But you didn't get any.
No, I didn't get any of it.
There's more ships,
Yeah.
either on the way home or over to England, one of the
It's
two.
getting ready to leave. Load a bunch of prisoners on there.
Leave France or,
No, that's between France and England, yeah.
oh, mhm, okay.
I was taken from Camp Lucky Strike. Where's that, Marston? I don't even remember what town it was then. That looks like a Falk-Wolf 190.
190. That looks like it's still flying condition.
I don't know.
And you said, yeah, those are big bombs back there. You said those may be concrete bombs?
Looks like they might be.
You can tell you're getting pretty close to the bottom of the barrel when you're using
Yeah.
concrete bombs and wooden bullets.
There's one guy, I didn't remember his name, but he worked for Sperry. And what he did when we got that airport, he went around and stripped engines out of his airplane. Throwed all his clothes away and put them in his bags bag, bring them back, sell them. It was worth a lot of money. See, they were all calibrated English. All the flight instruments.
Mm-hmm.
Need a ball, airspeed, altimeters.
of surprising that they were set up in English.
Well, it's very.
Oh, yeah, that's right, that's right. So the Germans had to learn English in order to use it.
Well, English is required language in Germany anyway.
Mhm.
Yeah, you can see the difference in the two airplanes.
The Stuka.
Took a dive on
Yeah.
it.
Mhm.
This is a radial engine, that's
Right.
what Wolf one had.
Mhm. Looks a little bit like a P-47.
Yeah, it's smaller than P-47 though.
Mhm. Did you ever get up in the P-47?
Hmm?
Did you ever fly a P-47?
So no. P-47, we went over to land at their field there one time. And what they were doing, only they carried was 2,000-pound bomb. And but now their airplane was good for straight, because they had a radial engine. They're hard to knock out. So we had an inline engine. One bullet can take that out. And then they found out that we was carrying 500 pounds. They said, "We'll get the hell off here before they start making us carry 3,000 pounds instead of 2." See, that landed hot. That he couldn't slow that. They come in on the final leg. We come in on the final leg 70, 75 miles an hour.
I didn't realize it was that slow.
Yeah, because we stalled out around 50. They come in on the final leg about 120, 140. They stalled out awful fast. They was hot. They didn't want to carry any more bombs. I don't blame them.
No, neither do I.
They didn't normally go on long missions. They did more straight and stuff like that. Us, the B-51 on the long missions.
This last one, this picture of the bridge.
Yeah, that is a pontoon bridge put in by the Corps of Engineers. And that was put in actually before Patton liberated. In other words, I didn't know it till I talked to this guy down here. But those guys worked ahead of the line. A lot of instances.
They earned their pay, a lot of those engineers.
Yeah.
What happened to you after you got back in the States?
Oh, I went back to work at Emerson Electric.
No, I mean, before you were you discharged right away, or?
Oh, no, we got started out to be a 30-day, but I think it ended up being 90-day furlough. And of course, at that time, you could do no wrong. St. Louis being a beer drinking town, you couldn't walk down the street or walk by a tavern. What they didn't pull you in there. Man, becoming alcoholic awful easy. And this continued up there until the day after VJ Day. And you was a dirty son of a bitch because you were still in uniform. That's just how much about face the public did.
I wonder why so quick, why that happened.
I don't know. Of course, we went through some pretty rough times, and you need to talk to somebody. But you try to talk to somebody. That's one of the reasons a lot of POWs are the way they are. But you try to talk to somebody, And, they'd say, oh, you're just feeling sorry for yourself. Street clammed up, all shut up on the inside. Some parts of them pretty bad shape.
No chance to get it out?
Yeah, no chance to get it out. And they, to this day, they won't talk at all.
Did you have anybody to talk to afterwards, that you could talk about it?
One night I did. I got a call one day from the guy I went to high school with. Said, Art, he says, I knew you prisoner of war. Yeah. He says, I was too. He says, you don't come over here at the house and talk to me. He says, I'm going to commit suicide. So I said, I'll be over as soon as I can get there. So I caught the streetcars. I went to get over to his house. He lived in South St. Louis too. And he was sitting at the kitchen table with a bottle of whiskey on the table and his .45 automatic. Sat there and talked to him all night, talked him out of it. He said, can't talk to nobody. He was infantry. Been in the Battle of Bow.
Captured there? Or?
Yeah. Yeah. There wasn't very many of them got out of the Battle of Bow. That they captured a bunch of guys. Nuremberg and Newburgh was the Battle of Bow boys.
So you weren't entirely with Air Force people? You were mixed up with everybody? An interview